For this video, I'll be teaching you how to motion track the colorful spark we did in part 1. I will also show you how I edited this video. I use HitFilm Express, which is a free editing software available on fxhome.com. I will leave the link down below. To start off, I have already imported my videos. Usually when I do my short videos, I let the camera run, making sure I get a clean slate with just the background. To set your in point, which is where you want the video to start, you press I. To set your out point, which is where you want the video to end, you press O. After you set that, just drag the video onto the timeline. You will probably get a notification like this, but you can just press yes. After that, you're going to click New Composite Shot. You can change the name of the composite shot to whatever you want, and then just click OK. After that, you drag the same video onto the timeline. Then I went to set up my in and out points for the video of me doing magic. Notice that the paw I will be appearing is already there. Since I am going to interact with the paw after making it appear, I have it in the shot already and just use the clean slate to mask it over. After doing that, you can just copy and paste the clean slate we did in the beginning and drag it over to the end. I'm sure you know how to copy and paste already. After that, I went in and changed the name of the videos. Then I imported the colorful spark we did in the last video. I then dragged the clean slate on top of the video I'm in. You're then going to mask the clean slate video. Since I did make a paw appear, I made sure my mask only covered where the paw was going to be at. Once you do that, you need to make sure the mask doesn't cover your subject. In this case, the mask was covering me up a tiny bit, so I just dragged the points over. Once you figure that out, you can go into the mask settings and change the feather strength. Set your arrow on top of the numbers and just drag to the right until you get a feather strength you like. If your mask looks good, you can skip this step, but for me, because the paw and I were so close, I couldn't really raise the feather strength as much. Because of this, the clean slate video and the video I'm in don't match, as you can see the line here. To fix that, I went into the effects and looked up brightness and contrast. I dragged the effect onto the clean slate and messed with the brightness a little. Once I did that, I copied and pasted the clean slate. To make the original video slide into the copied video, I went into effects and looked up time reverse. I then dragged that effect onto the copied video. By doing that, the original video goes into the copied video smoothly. After that, I just selected both videos and copied and pasted until I got to the point where the paw basically needs to appear. Once you get that, you are going to click New Layer and click Point. You can change the name to Null or Point. After that, look for where your subject starts saying a spell or where you want the magic spark to appear. Once you do that, click the video of the subject, click the little arrow right next to it to open the settings, then you're going to click the plus button on Tracks. You should get this. After that, you need to drag these two boxes onto where you want the magic spark to start. In my case, the magic spark will start on the tip of my wand. In order to drag the boxes, make sure your arrow is inside the red box. After that, click the button here. It basically moves the video frame by frame. Once you move it a frame, click where it says Layer and click Null or whatever you changed your point name to. After that, you basically go frame by frame, moving the little boxes to the tip of your wand. Once you get to the end of the spell, or when you want the magic spark to fly off your wand, you continue moving frame by frame for at least 2 more frames. Depending how close the object you are going to appear is to you. Once you do that, you click Apply. Then you right-click the Track tab and click Float Container to just exit out. After that, make sure you click on the Viewer tab. That takes you to your timeline. After that, you set in and out points for the colorful spark, usually for how long your spell takes. Drag the video onto your timeline where you want the colorful spark to start. In my case, I set it where I started saying the spell. Once you do that, you click this button right here. Hold it down until you see the ellipse mask. Click that one. We're basically going to create a circular mask. To get a perfect circle, you click the video and hold down Shift until you get the circle you like. If your mask isn't centered, click V to then move the mask to the center. Once you get that, go into Settings and look up Demold. Drag the effect onto the colorful spark video on your timeline. After that, you can go into your mask settings and change the feather strength. Drag the number to where you think it looks good. In my case, I had to pass 100. After doing that, click where it says None on your colorful spark. Select No. This parents your spark to move with the No. After doing that, look for where the spark actually starts moving with the wand. When I tried moving the spark, the mask actually moved, so I had to click some white space in my timeline to move the actual spark and not the mask. After I did that, I went into the colorful spark settings. Under transform, you'll see scale. Scale the number down a bit. I usually make the spark as big as a crystal ball at the tip of my wand. Once I did that, I actually then moved the spark on top of my wand. As you can see, the spark is now moving with my wand. Make sure you are at the beginning of the colorful spark. You are then going to go into the colorful spark settings to smoothly have the spark appear. To do that, click the circle next to opacity. That'll create a key point. Once you do that, drag the number down to 0. You are then going to move 8 frames forward by pressing the period button. After you move 8 frames or so forward, change the opacity back to 100. You can use the comma button to move back a frame if you need to. As you can see, the spark now appears smoothly. You're then going to look for where your spark leaves the tip of your wand. Go into the colorful spark settings, click the circle next to scale to create a key point. After that, move forward 8 frames using the period button. Once you do 8 frames, change the scale number a bit up. Not too big, but do change the scale a bit. After that, just drag the opacity down a little, then back up. That'll create a key point without actually changing the opacity. It should still be at 100. After that, move forward 8 more frames, scale it down a tiny bit. Change the opacity to 0. So it looks something like this. After doing that, copy and paste the video where your subject is. Once you paste it onto your timeline, it'll automatically move to the top. Just drag it down below the colorful spark video. Make sure the copied video of the subject lines up with the original video, like this. We won't need the whole video, so I just cut the video up by pressing C, click V, and then you can delete the excess videos we won't use. Match the base video, just like this. Once you do that, make sure you decrease the volume from your copied video. Then you're going to create a mask around the object you're appearing. In my case, I did a mask around the pot. I clicked the eye next to the colorful spark video to temporarily make it disappear, so I can do the mask well. You're then going to click the pen tool, which is right here. Before creating the mask, make sure you have the copied video selected. Then you start creating the mask. After doing the mask, click the eye next to the colorful spark video to make it appear. Look for when your spark leaves the wand. Once you find it, you can drag the edge of the copied video to where the spark has left the wand, as you can see. After that, go into settings and look up glow. Drag the effect onto the copied video. Then look up zoom blur and drag that effect onto the copied video. Once you do that, go into the Controls tab next to Effects tab. This will take you to the settings of the copied video. Click Zoom Blur, then click the arrow right here. Once you do that, drag the little icon thing that appears. This is basically the center of your zoom blur. Since the pot isn't in the center of the frame, I drag the icon to the center of the pot. Once you do that, just drag the zoom blur strength up. And go to your glow settings and mess with the threshold and intensity numbers. Move both until you see a glow you like. Because the pot was black, it didn't really glow as good. After figuring that out, click the circle next to Strength and Zoom Blur. That'll create a key point. Once you click it, change the number to 0. Mine was at -100 and that's wrong. It's supposed to be 0, but I didn't notice. Then go to the glow intensity and click the circle next to it. That'll create a key point, then just change the number to 0. Next, go to your transform settings of the copied video. Click the circle next to opacity to create a key point. Move forward 8 frames by clicking the period button. Once you move forward 8 frames, change the opacity up to 100. As you can see, as the spark grows in size, the pot starts appearing. After that, move forward 8 frames and change the opacity to 0. Look for when your spark is at its highest size and where the pot or your object is pretty visible, as you can see here. Then you're going to click the clean slate video that should be underneath the copied video of your subject. Go to the Controls tab, look for Transform, click the circle next to opacity, move forward 4 frames, then change the opacity to 0. Your object should stay and not disappear like it was doing. That's basically it. I then went and did the exact same thing to make myself disappear. I started by looking where I wanted the spark to start appearing. I then created a new point layer, named it Null 2, created a new track, moved 1 frame, then changed the layer to Null 2. Move the 2 boxes frame by frame until I wanted the spark to leave my wand. Then I just clicked Apply. I made the track tab flow to exit out. Click the Viewer tab to go to the actual timeline. I then set new in and out points for the colorful spark. Drag the video onto the timeline. Created a circular mask, looked up demult in the effect search, drag the effect, fix the feather strength, Once I got that, I noticed I didn't track the spark to move to the center of myself. So I looked for when I wanted the spark to leave my wand, and I went into the Controls tab of the second spark video. I clicked the circle next to position in the transform settings. Move forward 3 frames or so by clicking the period button. Drag the spark to the center of myself, then I just scaled the spark up. And change the opacity so it disappears smoothly. And I went to look for where the spark just arrives and copied the original video of me doing the magic. Then deleted the video footage I don't need. Then I went to create a mask around myself. because I was moving, the mask couldn't stay in one spot. So I went to the mask settings, clicked the little arrow next to mask, then clicked transform. I then clicked the circle next to position. I then moved forward 8 frames by clicking the period button. I made sure to click the arrow here and simply move the mask as close as possible to where I had then moved. It didn't match perfectly, so I then clicked the pen tool here and went to move the little points where needed. After that, I searched zoom, blur, and glow in the effects, dragged both effects onto myself. Then I set my key points on both the glow and zoom blur to start 8 frames forward, just like we did it with the pop. I messed with the opacity of the copied video and I disappeared. After that, I went to the editor tab. I deleted anything that was on my timeline. Then I dragged the composite shot onto my timeline. I looked for where there was no longer any black and where my video actually starts. Drag the edge over and then went into to add my sound effects. I then noticed I didn't have a colorful spark appear smoothly the second time, so I had to go into the composite shot and fix it. After that, I noticed it was more black at the end and I deleted that as well. After you removed any excess footage and added your sound effects, you click the Export tab, then click Export here, and save it wherever you want. And you're done. If you have any questions or I didn't explain clearly, leave your comments down below. To look through all this, I'd rather not. Why don't you just appear the pot?